Greetings to you, friends. As we prepare to gather around our tables this Thanksgiving, I invite you to reflect with me about another table that's found in the Gospel of Luke. It's a familiar text. We know it as the parable of the great dinner. Jesus said, "Once there was a man who threw a great dinner party and invited many people. When it was time for dinner, he sent out his servants to the invited guests, saying, 'Come on in, the food's on the table.' Then they all began to beg off, one after another, making excuses. The first said, 'I bought a piece of property and I need to look it over. Send my regrets.' Another said, 'I just bought 5 teams of oxen and I really do need to check them out. Send my regrets.' And yet a third said, 'I just got married and I need to get home to my wife.' The servant went back and told the master what had happened. The master was outraged and told the servant, 'Quickly, go into the city streets and the alleys, collect all who look like they need a square meal, all the misfits and the homeless and the wretched you can lay your hands on, and bring them here.' The servant came back and reported, 'Master, I did what you commanded, but there's still room.' The master said, 'Then go out to the country roads, where whoever you find, drag them in. I want my house full.' Let me tell you, not a one of those originally invited is going to get so much as a bite at my dinner party." What happens at the table is extremely important to Luke. As you know, he tells table stories again and again, and weaving in and out of those stories, table stories, is the message that all are welcome at Jesus' table. All. Women, men, children, young, old, in between, Gentiles, Jews, people with means, people without means, people who agree with us, people who don't agree with us, the saints, the sinners, the list goes on and on and on. You've probably noticed how it is that tables are made for people to get together. They're actually constructed to be accessible from all sides. Look at a sofa. It's only got one way in. Most chairs, one way in. A table is meant to be surrounded. And in the hours or sometimes days that people are away from the table just stands there and embodies this invitation that says, "Come, welcome, I'm ready." When I was growing up, virtually every important conversation in my life took place around the kitchen table. And let me say that that table isn't much, not by today's standards. There may be some of you old enough to remember those Formica tables with the aluminum legs, kind of 1950s variety. Ours had a gray top. Really and truly, it wasn't worth a lot then. And it's worth even less now, and that's even if you go into a resale shop and it's classified retro. But what happened at the table, that was everything. That table, that Formica table, was the place where our family shared virtually every meal as family. It's where we gathered together every day and heard from each other. My parents, my sisters, we talked about what was going on in the day. It was at the table that I learned about the prices for corn and cotton and cattle. And I learned that sometimes, regardless of what the farmer produced, there was something bigger out there that made our life change. At that table, I told my parents that I would be going to seminary that fall. And just yesterday at this table, our 4-year-old grandson made me a bracelet and gave it to me, and it says, "I am grateful." My hope is that your Thanksgiving will be spent gratefully at table with people you love. A table that, as Christ urges, is open to all. A table that is a place of forgiveness and sharing and hope. A table where our differences are set aside and we come together to acknowledge God's love for us and God's command that we love one another. And my prayer is that this time of Thanksgiving can be a time of healing and gratitude for your family, for our church, and for our world. Happy Thanksgiving, and may God bless you all.